Good evening, YouTube. You guys are now watching another segment of the Cali Effect. As promised, I'm going to be giving you guys the Fire Fist deck profile. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Fire Fist saga. If you guys would like to see the Fire Fist saga, it's definitely down below. I'll leave a link of the playlist for the people that haven't watched it and just want to see how the deck operates. Today I'm going to be running a couple of different cards because I've been trying out a couple of different variants for this format, and I hope you guys are enjoying. Let's start off. 3 copies of Fire Fist Bear. Now, at first I really didn't care for running 3 copies of Fire Fist Bear. 2 seemed perfect, especially last format, but we're going to up it up to 3, mainly because the monster destruction is almost imminent. Being able to search those fire formations to the field is also pretty good. Not to mention that he's one of the best Fire Fist monsters in the game right now. Pretty good card right now. 3 copies of Fire Fist Rooster. Now, I bumped up Rooster from 2 to 3 because, well, come on, think about it. He's a Rhoda on legs. Extremely good, extremely versatile, being able to transform any of your fire formations into a Tinky, a Tentu, a YuGiOh, or whatever fire formation you need. It's just too good to pass up. If you guys are running less than 3, then man, you don't know what you're missing, because even drawing Rooster is amazing. 3 copies of Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Leopard, the engine starter. Basically, if you go into anything, or if you get anything, like if you're going for Tinky and you need any extra options, or you draw him, he is amazing. Being able to fetch Tensu, being able to fetch your Tinkies, going into your Horse Prince plays, just that main card, it's really the second Stratos of the deck. It's just the reason why this deck has so much consistency is because of this and Rooster. Next, 2 copy of Fire Fist Gorilla. I do not run Mystical Space Typhoons in the main board. Fire Fist Gorilla really does help me resolve that problem of not running Mystical Space Typhoons in the main board, and also being brother's little brother. All you have to do is destroy a monster. It becomes times where it's so much easier to destroy a monster by battle rather than inflict damage to your opponent's life points, and that's where Gorilla comes in. Just really good against those anti-meta type decks too as well, because it's a monster that you can protect and then eventually just keep wearing down the opponent's back row. 2 copies of Brotherhood of Fire Fist Wolfbark. I'm not a huge fan of Wolfbark. I'm still not a huge fan of Wolfbark, and probably never will be a huge fan of Wolfbark. Biggest reason, you can't go into your Cardinal plays. If you ask me, he's a good card. He's good for going into your ranked plays, but just most of the time he just sits in my hand just saying, "Hi, I'm Wolfbark. How you doing?" And I typically don't need him. I'm not going to knock that he's an amazing card. He does some of his plays. When I do need him, he's there. And he's not really a bad card. That's the reason why I haven't taken him out of this deck. But if I were to add hand traps into the main board, if the meta ever needed him, Wolfbarks might be one of the things that will come out. 1 copy of Spirit. That's what makes this deck so potent. I have 6 targets for Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Spirit. 3 Rooster and 3 Leopard. So typically it's always live. Keep in mind that it is very, very searchable, and it combos extremely well with your fire formations. 1 copy of Crane. Now TJ the Scrub is the one that pointed me to playing Crane, and I was like, give it a shot. Haven't really looked back since. It's a card that I'm definitely testing. It is amazing for special summoning Spirit to the field and going for a Horse Prince play. Going into your rank 3 plays, just not really a bad card at all in this deck. 1 copy of Blaster, that's spot removal. I rarely use his effect to special summon him to the side of the field, but when you do, it's typically game. Just a pretty good card overall. 1 copy of Dragon. Now, Dragon is a card that people don't really like, and I don't know why. You know, being an 1800 beater that fetches you more fire formations, and then at the cost of 2 fire formations, you can special summon a monster from your graveyard. Granted, Wolfbark has that same capabilities, but you guys gotta remember, Wolfbark can't get you Rooster. Wolfbark can't get you Leopard again. Wolfbark can't get you Horse Prince. Wolfbark can't get you these type of cards that Dragon can get you. Wolfbark doesn't have the certain things of being a Fire Fist in its name. It doesn't have those type of capabilities that Dragon does bring. It's a really, really good card that people overlook, especially when it comes to powering fire formations on your side of the field and getting ready for big plays. Next is 1 copy of Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Buffalo. Somebody suggested me to play one of him when he first came out, and I have never looked back since. So much OTK potential with this card, so much graveyard hand management. fire formation management, just an extremely underrated card. I feel this in any Fire Fist deck, just being able to pitch the right components to your graveyard or get the extra 1700 body on the field could mean game for a lot of plays. And keep in mind that he combos really well with a lot of your fire formation cards and a lot of your monsters. For spells, we have 3 fire formation tanky, pretty obvious, the reinforcements of the army of the deck. 3 Tensu. Now, I don't see why people run the second best fire formation card at 2. Tensu allows you to get a second summon. That's crucial. And on top of that, it's a normal summon. So take advantage of it while you have it. I tend to get rid of them a lot with Bear's Effect, Gorilla's Effect, and that's why I play 3, because you can. It's so flexible and it's so easy to search, and it gives you something to search for, because half of the time you're going to be overloaded with monster effects and you're not going to need anything to search. So I feel free to get rid of that copy of Tensu just so I can search it again. It's perfectly fine at 3. A card that I decide to up the 3 is Rekindling, mainly because Tinking with the 3, so it's a lot easier for me to go into my leopard plays. It's a lot easier for me to synchro. Rekindling typically means game. If you can activate Rekindling with at least a leopard in graveyard, that's your Stratos for free. If you can activate Rekindling with 2 leopards, that's an Exceed play at the very least. If you can activate a Rekindling with a leopard and a spirit, provided that you probably went into leopard and spirit at that same time, you can potentially make hazardous amounts of damage. It's extreme. This deck is extremely explosive, and Rekindling really makes that deck loud and live. 2 copies of Fire Formation YuGiOh. It's our searchable mystical space typhoon. Just a really good card, being able to stop your opponent and so you can go off. Dark Hole, Book of Moon, and the ever so underrated Fire Formation YuGiOh. Keep in mind, guys, you can activate YuGiOh without having to use his effect, and that's something that does happen in this deck. Also, being able to pitch one of your Fire Formation cards, just put that Fire Fist card into your graveyard for another big play, for maybe a Crane play, a Wolf Bark play, or even a Spirit play is pretty good. But the main reason why I use it is because you can activate it without having to do anything. You can just activate it to trigger your dragon effect. You can activate it to search it with a rooster. You can activate it to use Bear's Effect or whatever. It's just a really underrated card for Fire Fist. Next for trap, 3 copies of Vanity's Emptiness. This deck has, I don't even want to count how many continuous spells and traps that this deck has. It has a lot. And with that being said, I can control how long Vanity's Emptiness stays on the board. All I have to do is, if I want it off the field, activate Bear's Effect, activate Gorilla's Effect, activate Rooster's Effect. Any of those effects puts Vanity's Emptiness in the grave, allowing me to special summon, send it to the graveyard. Next is 2 copies of Fire Formation Tensen. I do run Dragon. That's pretty much the biggest reason. The 1,000-point boost does really help nice, and it kind of has a little bit of synergy with Vanity's Emptiness. Being able to fetch the Rooster, for Rooster to fetch the Fire Formation Tensen after the Horse Prince play, and then being able to protect my Rooster, which is something that we go after when Vanity's Emptiness is on the field. Pretty good card overall. That copy of Solemn, Compulsory Evacuation Device, and Bottomless Trap Hole. That sums up the main deck. For sideboard, we're going to be running 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Because of monster effect negation against some decks can sometimes win you a game, especially in the Fire Fist mirror match. 3 copies of Max C. Now, Max C is extremely good against those special summon heavy decks, allowing us to get our critical pieces to our hand to allow us to counter swarm or do whatever we need to do to win the game. 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. I drop Mystical Space Typhoon down to 2 because when I do side Mystical Space Typhoons in, I really only need 2, first of all. And secondly, I already have the Back Row Destruction in deck. Thirdly, I have to make room for a lot of other good cards in here. Don't get me wrong, Mystical Space Typhoon's an amazing card, like I've said plenty of times before. But I don't feel that I need more than 8 destruction cards in my main board. 3 copy of Light Imprisoning Mirror for those Light Sworn, Constellar, Bujin matchups. They're very annoying. 2 copies of Imperial Iron Wall. I might actually switch that Light Imprisoning Mirror Imperial Iron Wall ratio up. It depends on how the meta shapes out. Imperial Iron Wall gets rid of those pesky zombie decks if you ever come across them. Bujins get hit really hard with them. Just a lot of decks that still revolve around banishing. Imperial Iron Wall does address that problem. And then last, 2 copies of Gozen Match. All the monsters in the main board for the exception of Crane or Fire, and I'm perfectly fine with Gozen Match with that. Next, for the extra deck, Beast Lord Vulcan, extremely good card in there. Especially now that Crane is a nice addition to it. Being able to go into your rank systems have never been so much easier. 2 copy of Horse Prince, pretty much the standard of the deck if you're going to run the 3 Axis components in your Fire Fist. 1 copy of M7, because going into 6s are a lot easier nowadays. I decided to put M7 back into the extra deck lineup. This is the card that got me a lot of good games at Worlds. It pretty much won me a couple of games just because I got to put 2 Horse Princes on top of each other, use this effect to get whatever I needed to the hand, if not bounce an opponent's card. Really underrated card for this Fire Fist deck. 2 copies of Tiger King, which is pretty standard, being able to negate Zen mains and all those other type of effects. If he's ever destroyed, you have 3 fire formations, being able to summon a bear and gorilla or something like that is pretty good. This Black Ship of Corn actually is going to be Silent Arc Knight, or however that card's name. Just Arc Knight's a really good card. Snatching an opponent's special summon monster, but until then, I guess it's the Black Ship of Corn. 2 copies of Cardinal. A lot of people sleep on this card. This card is completely amazing, especially when you run 2 so they can loop each other. Being able to put the opponent's graveyard or field back to the deck can probably be critical for you winning the game, just because it sets your opponents back so far and it recycles those fire formations and Fire Fist monsters back into your deck. Maestro, because he's clutch. Abyss Dweller. Got Cowboy. 1 copy of Lion Emperor, Mecha Equipped Engineer, and Wind Up Zen mains. That basically sums up the Fire Fist deck profile. I really hope you guys have enjoyed watching this deck in action. Once again, if you guys would like to see this deck in action, there is a playlist below. I will be playing it sporadically during this format. Thank you guys for watching another segment of The Cali Effect. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.